Okay, good afternoon once again to our friends from the media. We have reached the last round of press conference for today. For this time, we are going to talk about the subject of financial inclusion. As we all know by now, the goal of achieving an inclusive economic growth is high in the APEC agenda. The same is true for the Philippines, which have implemented several reforms over the past few years to make financial products and financial services accessible to a greater number of people. In fact, just a trivia, last year, the Economist Intelligence Unit ranked the Philippines as #1 in Asia in terms of having a conducive regulatory environment for financial inclusion and one of the top 3 in the world. And that recognition is partly, if not mostly, credited to the institutions represented by our 2 speakers for today. So may I introduce to you Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Deputy Governor Nestor Espenilla, and Insurance Commissioner Emmanuel Dooc. They will expound on the Cebu Action Plan in relation to the goal of financial inclusion and, of course, in relation to the efforts of their respective institutions. So, Mr. Espenilla, would you like to start?
Okay. Relevant to this particular meeting, my presentation actually at the senior finance officials meeting was really to draw the strong connections between the agenda of financial inclusion and also financial integration. So the point really is that financial inclusion as a national agenda is all about delivering high-quality financial services for all and providing effective access. Now, on the other hand, the broader goal of financial integration is to essentially expand that market beyond the national borders and to recognize that we are in a bigger region where the possibilities are much higher. And therefore, there are a lot of synergies there. And in the Philippines, there are many learnings that we have obtained over the years, and these are highly shareable with the other jurisdictions. So this aspect of peer exchange was emphasized. So we have very good experiences to share on how we enable the regulations. We can also learn a lot from how other jurisdictions have approached their own institutional challenges. So that process of exchange is meant to further enrich not just financial inclusion, the broader goal of also inclusive growth. So, but financial inclusion is just one of the many paths that lead to potential inclusive growth. So let me start with that first before I elaborate further.
Commissioner Dooc.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the organizer of the press con for inviting me here. Although it was a short notice, but I assure you that the subject of financial inclusion through inclusive insurance has been in our agenda for some time now, even long before the Cebu Action Plan was formulated. No? As early as 2006, we have came up with the definition of microinsurance. As you know, microinsurance is our main vehicle to achieve financial inclusion. And it has been my fortune that this development started after I was appointed. That's why shortly before my term in 2010, we came up with the framework for microinsurance. And I am happy that we have come up with this national strategy to promote financial inclusion. What we will do now is to integrate our own inclusive insurance program within this national strategy. Thank you.
Okay, so now we are opening the floor to questions. As in our previous press conferences, for those who would like to ask questions, you may just raise your hand. Allow me to acknowledge you. Proceed to the mic and then state your name and your affiliation. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Marie Ruiz from Radyo ng Bayan, Manila. What is your outlook on the penetration rate of insurance in the Philippines over the short to medium term? Will the Cebu Action Plan help increase penetration of insurance?
Definitely, it will help improve and promote insurance penetration in our country. As you very well know, the penetration rate in the Philippines is very low. When I was appointed as the insurance commissioner, the penetration rate ranged from 0.9 to 1.02. We're in the same league as Indonesia. Both countries, despite its size in terms of population, have very low penetration rate. The ASEAN average is about 3.4%. So our target is to approximate that number. Singapore, for instance, which has the highest penetration rate in the region, scored about close to 6%. Our target now is to increase it to at least 3%, within the next 3 years, But that is difficult to achieve. Why? Because the penetration rate actually is a function of the premium over GDP. We need to outpace the GDP in order to improve our penetration rate. Now, during the past years when we had actively pursued microinsurance, our penetration rate has improved. Although the premium collected from microinsurance business is not that significant. But by sheer numbers alone, we had improved the penetration rate. For instance, on the second half of this year, it has increased to 1.84%, our highest so far, coming from 0.9 to 1.02%. So, with the affordable insurance products that are within the reach of the poor, I believe that we will make significant progress in this area.
And for Mr. Espenilla, can you expound on how the Cebu Action Plan can help accelerate the attainment of the goal of financial inclusion?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think there are elements of the Cebu Action Plan that directly contribute, but also in a broader sense, it creates the enabling environment as well and is dependent as well on financial inclusion. Now, just to take an example, two important elements there. There's about disaster risk mitigation, for example. And I want to start off with this because I want to connect to what Commissioner Dooc has said. Because one of the important objectives of the Cebu Action Plan is to promote better disaster risk management. And an important element of that is to make individuals more prepared and be in a position to deal with the setbacks that are inevitable when disaster strikes. And this is really where insurance, and also particularly microinsurance, comes to the fore. Now, in addition to products, I think the important insurance penetration in this country is also dependent on the delivery channels. And here, other kinds of financial institutions like banks and pawn shops. Pawn shops are actually the leading distributor of microinsurance. And they're able to do this under regulatory changes that have been facilitated through the Bangko Sentral, because we are the regulator of banks and insurance, banks and pawn shops. So these are delivery channels. There are also, there's also recognition of more innovative digital channels that are also the possible distribution points for a broad range of financial products, be it credit, be it savings. So we have also pioneered many regulations that allow digital finance in this country. So that's also an element that's recognized in the Cebu Action Plan. The Cebu Action Plan is also about developing deeper financial markets. And there, that is supported by the reforms that are being introduced in the whole range of financial markets, be it in the banking market, be it in the securities market, payments market, etc. So, because at the end of the day, if we're talking about integration, you really need to have well-functioning financial markets that are connected to one another. So many reforms are related to there. That's why the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion that Commissioner Dooc spoke about, it has an important element wherein one key objective is to create a national retail payment system, which will enable us to operate retail payments more efficiently and interoperably in this country. So the vision there is to make movement of value from one account to another account easy and convenient and affordable everywhere in the country.
Sharing, sir, our best practices in financial inclusion with other APEC economies, and are we also getting suggestions to enhance inclusion from other economies?
Yes, that's the very definite proposition within the Cebu Action Plan. The knowledge exchange, the peer learning is very much integral to the whole process of cooperation. So we have knowledge to share, and there's knowledge out there that we can learn from and possibly adapt here in the country.
Okay, are there any more questions? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Mads Miraflor of Manila Bulletin. My question is addressed to Mr. Dooc. Regarding the Cebu Action Plan, I just want to know how easy or hard it would be for the Philippine industry to absorb and implement.
100,000 households benefited from their microinsurance policies. In fact, the record showed that microinsurers paid out over 500 million insurance benefits at an average of a little less than 5,000 pesos in benefit only. That 5,000 pesos paid to poor families is very significant because this is now different from the dole-outs, the bag of groceries, which they normally receive after a disaster occurred. This did not only brought cash, no matter how meager, to the poor households, it also restored their dignity because of the microinsurance policy which they purchased. I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ben?
Good evening, sirs. I'm Ben De Vera of Philippine Daily Inquirer. For Commissioner Dooc, sir, can you give us an update on the proposal to cover all households and SMEs with mandatory risk insurance, and whatever happened to that draft DO that you have submitted for approval of the President? Thank you.
There is a proposal, and this was authored by the industry itself, by the Non-Life Insurance Association, PIRA. with the help, and this is being endorsed, in fact, by our development partners, by ADB, the World Bank, the IFC, no, and some other international institutions, with the support, of course, of the local non-life industry. This proposal aims to provide disaster cover for against perils caused by disasters such as earthquake, typhoons, and floods induced by typhoons. It proposed to provide mandatory disaster insurance, as mentioned by Ben, no? To households and the small and medium enterprises. The proposal is under study by the Department of Finance at present. No? And we hope to get the support of the Department of Finance. My agency is part of Department of Finance, and I am strongly endorsing it. No? We hope that the President, if this is recommended by the DOF, will sign an executive order, because it will take time if we will get a law or legislation enacted for this purpose. So a draft executive order has been prepared, but of course it won't reach Malacanang unless the DOF endorses it. Actually, DOF is, of course, supportive of this, but they are looking into the issues like how to make it mandatory, compulsory, and the funding that this will, this proposal or program will require.
But do you think, sir, with the Cebu Action Plan, our commitment to implement this plan to make
Well, I think so, because resiliency is one of the pillars of the Cebu Action Plan. And in fact, I was just viewing this afternoon's news, and I was alarmed by the recent flooding in Japan now. I think this highlights the need for disaster insurance program to ensure and promote resiliency in our communities, no, and among our people, particularly the poor, who are most vulnerable to calamities.
Okay, I think we can accommodate one or two more questions from the floor. Do you have additional questions? Yes, Sig.
To Governor Nesting, I'd just like to seek an update regarding the National Retail Payment System. At what stage are we? NRPS.
NRPS.
At what stage are we at? Last time was there were consultations with telecom firms, banks about how to proceed. General update, probably.
Well, right now those consultation processes continue on, because the NRPS actually brings together so many different actors into the picture. So one level of conversation is with the banks, and the dialogues there involve, for example, the full operationalization of the combination of BankNet Megalink. But that's just one use case for payments with respect to ATM withdrawals, but that's hardly the whole picture. There are also conversations going on with respect to how our telcos, not really the telcos, but their subsidiaries that are involved in providing electronic money are able to interoperate their own platform. So the idea there is to move from one e-money product to another e-money product, because today they are siloed. So there is a specific work program that's been hammered out to bring them to that point as early as next year. So that is also happening in parallel to this. Also, the study in terms of drafting the possible governance rules on how all of this will come together, because governance is very important in the payment system, because this basically determines the rights and privileges of all of the players so that they can interact with one another, defining clearly the areas where they should cooperate, but there's also defining areas where they can compete, because they are cooperators as well as competitors. So that's the tricky part of it. That's why we need to hammer out a good governance framework that will enable these things to happen. And the idea is also to create a national retail payment system that is basically largely self-governed by the players, so that because it's also potentially inefficient if the government or the regulator calls the shots, because that can be an impediment to innovation. Because one of the objectives here is not only we want to have interoperability, but we also want to accommodate innovations in financial payments. And there are so many innovations happening right now brought about by fintech development. So all of this are currently being put together in a governance framework.
Okay, is there any more question? We can accommodate just one last question, if there is any. Okay, if there is none, for your closing statements, gentlemen, may I ask you this question? We have already posted some gains in the area of financial inclusion even before the Philippines drafted the Cebu Action Plan. So, in your view, why is it still important to have this kind of roadmap?
You mean the Cebu Action Plan?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the Cebu Action Plan, in a way, actually, it was characterized as an ambitious plan, in the sense that it puts together a set of initiatives that can be put in place that will lead towards attainment of the objectives of the APEC communities. There's flexibility in the timetable because there is recognition that every jurisdiction would have its own institutions and time frames. But the thing is, the end game has been articulated very clearly in the Cebu Action Plan, while affording each economy the flexibility to how do you get there. But there will be convergence at some point, because as I said, it's difficult to put everybody on a strict time frame because each one has their own legislative process. But it's important to have a goal, and it's important to have methodologies, and also data is brought into the picture so that there is recognition that there is room for urgent action because the problems are very real.
Yes, Commissioner?
Yes, I think it is critical that we develop a program to guide us in our initiatives to promote financial inclusion. It's true that APEC or whatever agreement we may arrive at is non-binding. It will not be binding to the members. But it is helpful that we have set our goals so that we can channel our resources and our efforts to achieve them. While it may be non-binding, we strongly believe that the objectives, the 4 pillars, are adequate and effective responses to the problems that confront us. And in my particular case as the regulator of the insurance industry, I embrace the cap. I believe that this will help us to better organize our efforts so that we can deliver the services that we have envisioned for our insuring public. We believe that the CAP will be our guide in achieving our agenda for the Filipinos, particularly to the poor, which truly need to be assisted to be able to overcome the financial difficulties that they face. So I think in this regard, the CAP will be a helpful guide so that we can achieve our goals.
Okay, thank you very much. On that note, we are formally closing our press conference. Thank you very much, DG Espenilla and Commissioner Dooc, for participating in this media activity. Thank you also to our friends from the media for your active participation. I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you.